I mean, look at this face. As of the recording of this video, we're only 16 days out from a supposedly brutal, horrific assassination of the love of her life, of the father of her two children. And she's acting like it kind of didn't happen. Are we going to hear about the Romanian angels situation? Are we going to hear her address what some people are saying, that she's been banned from Romania for a certain thing that people are accusing her of? 16 days out. I would expect this maybe from somebody 16 months out. But I have grandparents and I know people, and you probably do too, that still mourn the loss of a loved one who wasn't taken during a horrific assassination or some kind of unexpected accident. Something where maybe a loved one was struggling with cancer for a couple of years, going through chemotherapy, and the doctor's like, well, get your things in order because so and so only has 6 months or 12 months. And even after that, you don't recover like this. Even after preparing yourself 16 days out from the actual demise of the individual that you say you love, is it, am I tripping? Or is this as bizarre to you as it is?
Hello guys, welcome once again to the channel. I hope wherever you're watching, you're having a great time. Now, we know that a few weeks ago, Charlie Kirk was murdered, and this caused a serious storm in the American political scene. Many people threw their blames on different sides, and the government of the day also brought the explanation of what happened to Charlie Kirk. As many people still continue to grapple with explanations as to what caused the death of this young man, there are certain behaviors that have caught Americans and made them wonder what they are really seeing in their eyes. And this is about the Charlie Kirk's wife, Erika. She has been behaving quite weirdly, and many people have given their opinions about what they think is happening. And some have had a lot of conspiracy theories about how things are happening and how they're responding to the death of this guy. So many Americans have observed how Charlie Kirk's wife has been behaving and the responses she's been giving, different speeches she's been making, and even how she's been behaving publicly. And many have more questions than answers. I've compiled some of the comments and reactions that people have given in this clip. Watch it to the end, then I shall come back and give my commentaries at the end.
I've been watching Erika Kirk, and I don't mean like one clip, right? I mean watching her, watching how she moves, how she positions herself, how she's being used. And I can't lie, it's getting weird. Because when your public grief starts looking like an Adam and Eve commercial, that's not faith. That's branding. And it's gross. And the wild part is she's not being objectified. She's participating. She's found her place in the performance. The beautiful believer, the holy widow, the vessel for the message. Erika Kirk figured out how to turn devotion into influence. Not the loud kind, though. The curated, palatable kind. You know, the one that makes far-right politics look gentle. She wraps white Christian nationalism in soft femininity, in perfectly timed tears and God's plan captions. And the people around her are eating it up. Because every movement like this needs a face. Someone who makes extremism look nurturing instead of dangerous. She's not on stage with men like J.D. Vance by accident. She's there because she makes his ideology look marketable. She's proof that the patriarchy will always find a woman to front the campaign. But real talk, since her husband died, she's been everywhere. Podcasts, conferences, stages. Grieving publicly in a way that doesn't feel accidental. Because grief sells when it looks holy. When it sounds like faith instead of fury. That hug with Donald Trump, that wasn't a spiritual moment. That was a moment designed to make people feel safe with him. Because nothing says redemption like a woman weeping in your arms, right? And whether she realizes it or not, she's become the emotional shield of a movement. She absorbs the criticism, softens the image, right? She sanctifies the message. So here's the thing. Erika Kirk is not naive. She is strategic. But when your brand becomes a faith-based fairy tale, you start serving a system that'll never serve you back. Because to them, she's only as valuable as her pain. The second she stops crying on cue, the second she stops being useful, they'll find another soft-spoken believer to stand in that same light and call it revival. That's how these movements work. They sanctify women's suffering as proof of men's virtue. So yeah, I've been watching Erika Kirk, and the more I see, the clearer it gets. This isn't about faith, this is about optics. She's not spreading Christianity, she's selling comfort. All for a movement built on control. And one day, because it will come, the day when she stops fitting that narrative, the same hands holding her up are going to drop her. Because in that world, women like Erika aren't partners, they're props. And props are always replaceable.
Erika Kirk is lying.
There have been cameras all over me, analyzing my every move, analyzing my every smile, my every tear.
What tears exactly? How is it that the same woman who blames others for having eyes is wiping away tears that aren't there? And she is the one who willfully puts herself in the spotlight for everyone to see. It's almost like this thing turned into an entire brand overnight. She stepped into the CEO role and now has an issue with cameras. They are forcing her onto us like she's this new leader, saying that they're gonna make Turning Point bigger than ever, and that I disagree with. Also, you posted your own husband in his casket, appeared on his show 2 days later after his life was taken, and now you're selling merch. Fireworks at the WWE Memorial. Yeah, nothing says grieving widow like tight leather pants. And running your fingers through JD Vance's hair with his hands on your waist. These people are marketing and making money off your heartstrings. How about those stories in Romania being swept away? There are no photos of her pregnant with her kids. I don't believe for a second that her and Charlie met organically. This is performance dressed up as holiness. It's manipulation, marketing, and it's fake.
No one will ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD and Vice President JD Vance. I do. And that's why I'm so blessed to be able to introduce him tonight, because he understands the fight that we're up against.
Don't fall for this. They want us to say that the two of them are having an affair. They know that that's what we're going to start saying. That's on purpose. They are creating a spectacle intentionally. Because in this attention economy, controversy gets attention. And it also keeps Erika Kirk relevant. But it does something else too. It humanizes JD Vance. Now he has to defend himself against these mean liberals that are saying that he's cheating on his wife. He's really just helping this poor grieving widow get over her husband, who was his best friend. The reason why they're trying to humanize JD Vance and keep Erika Kirk relevant is I think that they're gearing up for a 2028 president run with JD Vance and Erika Kirk as his VP. So what do they need to do to keep our attentions on the two of them? They create controversy. Now we're going to be watching the two of them and talking about it. While on the right, they're going to be like, look at these mean liberals saying these horrible things about JD Vance and this poor grieving widow. That's a message they're going to send to the right. They need us to say these things about Erika Kirk and JD Vance.
Does anybody else think that JD Vance's first wife, Usha, has got to be looking for an exit plan after the last few days? As if it wasn't bad enough for the woman who was raised in a traditional Hindu home by Indian immigrant parents to have her husband go on national television and say that it's completely reasonable and acceptable for Americans to want to live next to people who are like them and speak their language. She then got to watch her husband put his hands all over the recently widowed Erika Kirk, who's clearly looking for another famous man in her life. And then he goes on stage and religiously shames his wife for not being Christian and hopes and tells the whole world that he hopes that she'll convert to Christianity and find the right path. And then at the same event, he ties immigration to assimilation. If you don't understand how that relates to the former statement about Usha Vance's traditional Indian and Hindu upbringing, I'm just curious. I don't know many women who would be okay with their husband going on stage and talking about them like that and then hugging another recently widowed woman the way that he did.
So I woke up to an alarming number of DMs and some unusual activity on my Usha playlist. And I was like, what could have possibly happened? Okay. Here's the thing. respect levels, you all know, for this woman are subterranean. That being said, even I, for like a split second, the flap of a hummingbird's wing, felt a tinge of sympathy when I saw this picture. Listen, if I cradled you while you performed grief for the world, and then a mere like 3 weeks later, you get on stage in front of thousands of people and run your hands through my husband's hair, I'm not even a jealous person. But let's just say this woman wouldn't need a pair of gloves this holiday season. This is public humiliation. I don't know Usha personally and have no concept of whether she gets more insecure about this or walking past an Ashley Home Furniture store with him. And then these stories about him saying this about her. Okay, here's the thing. I know what this looks like. And if these were normal people, I would say, yeah, this man is 100% getting divorced. But you have to remember that all of this is a performance. Every single thing that is happening right now is calculated and deliberate. I know these people come across as the dullest fucking knives in the drawer, but these are all chess moves by the Heritage Foundation. JD Vance is like the world's most unlikable human being. The man has the charm of wet cardboard. Not an ounce of charisma exists in that man's husk. And because the Heritage Foundation knows that in terms of succession, he is the real guy that they can manipulate, they have to make him somewhat, marginally more palatable to MAGA. And they are doing that by aligning him with Aryan Barbie over here, who is newly single, because they fully understand that the idea of a brown first lady repulses them. Mixed race children running about the White House, gross. So I think concocting this illusion will win him brownie points with that base. And to be honest, they're not wrong. And keep in mind, this is a base that is also dying to cheat on their wives. So if they can watch a dude cheat on his inferior wife with a shiny new object, you know that they are fist pumping the air, living vicariously through this sentient Pepperidge Farm loaf. All of that to say, this does seem like Bravo, and it could just be temporary to win him a few brownie points, and he'll go back to his miserable wife. However, here's the caveat. If this isn't just temporary, Usha may be in danger. I may have to take this.
The non-South Asians worried about Usha Vance's safety.
Again, she signed that deal with the devil, and she is 100% smart enough to have a contingency plan in place, and blackmail she put aside for a rainy day. That being said, the Heritage Foundation is capable of giving her a political thriller ending. I don't know what's worse for us, I'm gonna be honest. Because if they do, then this one and Aryan Barbie are able to get together free and clear and really rile up that base, and we're all fucked. Usha and his unlikability were like the albatross around his neck. He was never gonna really go far. So, in some ways, I'm rooting for Usha here. What a wild ride. I don't know, man. This whole thing is spooky as hell. Happy Halloween.
Everybody's been talking about this photo of JD Vance and Erika Kirk. And I'm telling you, there has been bad vibes around Usha Vance. She's looking sicker. We're seeing a lot of that in the press where she's just looking like she's aged. I was watching a live once, and it was an astrologer looking at her chart, and it was not like a lot of like death and sickness stuff, and especially like in his like death of a partner. And so it's like, oh, it's like keep an eye on Usha Vance's health in like fall, winter. And it's very interesting because as soon as the whole big memorial rally thing happened, everyone's been saying like she is going to try to be the second, like she's going to try to marry JD Vance. That's a perfect like Christo-fascist couple, because Usha Vance is not it. Usha Vance will never be accepted by the white MAGA Christo-fascist people. Like they need pure blood. Like they don't need him being married to a brown person, to an immigrant. Like that goes against everything they stand for, right? So it would make more sense. People are talking about like divorce. No, divorce is bad. When you like, divorce would make him look bad. If you dump your wife and then get remarried immediately and then make her the second lady, that would be a bad look for the Christian people. If she dies of natural causes and then he's a grieving widower and then has sympathy, and then these two widowed people find love together, bonding over the loss of their spouses, like isn't that a little bit more of like a redeeming story? Isn't that more of a heroic arc? Isn't that more of a sympathetic character for them. I mean, think about how much sympathy Erika's getting. You know, like that, like they're going to lean into that whole, like, they found love through the love of their spouses that they lost or something like that. And she's a much more acceptable spouse for him in the eyes of his people. I'm not saying, like, I do fear for Usha Vance's life. Not because she's just as bad. I understand. She is just as bad. She's just as bad as Melania. She's just as bad as all the spouses. She's a commander's wife. She signed up for this. She pushed him into this. She is behind all this. She is part of it. But they are going to kill her off so that he can marry a blonde, blue-eyed woman. I would be worried if I was her. Because it looks like, I mean, it looks like they're like putting Drano in her food or something, by how unhealthy she looks. And they're going to try and say it's like cancer or something, and it was fast, it moved suddenly, and all of a sudden, poof, she's gone. Doesn't that make more sense than a divorce? A divorce is messy. Divorce is messy. Divorce has courts. Divorce has faults. Divorce has somebody did something wrong. Somebody is, you know, divorce has custody battles. Divorce has exposure. Death has secrecy. Death has, we don't talk about that. Death has, you know, respect him. He's in mourning. Respect his privacy. Respect his, that's a whole different vibe. People tear apart divorce. People respect death. They respect privacy and death. So I would just be checking my food if I was her. Because it looks like they're doing something that's slowly draining the life out of her. Am I wrong?
I'm going to tell you right now, it's not my place to talk about anybody's marriage or to speculate on anyone's marriage. But if another woman hugged my husband the way that that woman hugged that other person, here, let me show you something. You see that right there? See that? That's what it would sound like when I snatch that weave out that head. No lies told.
I've gotten several requests to decode this video with Erika Kirk and JD Vance. Let's look at JD Vance's side of the hug first. He gives a tight hug with a pat on the back. So some people often pat people on the back. That's just kind of how they manage a longer hug. And for some people, that patting on the back is what they do to comfort someone else. He also rests his hands after the hug for a second on her waist area, which can be a sign of affection and or romantic interest. It's the move to slide her hands up and grasp and cradle his head that is getting so much attention. This is a move that we women do when we are in a deep kiss, which is why it looks so very intimate. Erika then ends her hug by grasping his shoulders, which is a sign of affection and closeness. That said, grief can do really wonky things to humans, but this is wonky for sure. I'm Yanni Sarnblad, and I teach microexpressions and all things nonverbal.
Understand that if my husband hugged anyone like this, other than me, it'd be the last hug he ever gave. Listen, here's the thing. I'm not the jealous type. I know that sounds ironic, but I think it's flattering when people hit on my husband and flirt with him. Because I'm like, yeah, I think he's fine too. I get it. But this shit, that hug is intimate, right? That's a Nicholas Sparks kind of hug right there. That's a book talk type of hug. The way that he has his arms around her waist, her hand in his hair, the way he's looking at her, my God. Sorry, my husband's only allowed to look at me that way. Or Orville Peck, or Chris Evans, or Jonathan Bailey. Only those four people, though. But that right there, ooh, that's going to piss me. Usha, baby, JD Vance's wife, what you doing? Second lady, wake the fuck up. I think your husband might be having an affair. And Usha, baby girl, listen, I just need you to have a little bit of self-respect. A little bit, right? If it wasn't for his, like, racism and you being a woman of color, you know, if that wasn't enough, this blatant thing right here, he was just caught saying yet again, he wants his wife to convert to Christianity because he doesn't like that she's not a Christian. What does he like about you, babes? Usha, baby girl, aren't you tired? Leak stuff about this entire administration, okay? Just do it, girl. Burn the whole thing down. I know you can, but you won't. And that pisses me off.
I told y'all this woman is not grieving. She's glowing. She's literally happier than a cat at a fish fry. Look at her. And not only did she have adoring eyes for JD Vance, same adoring eyes for Donald Trump. Sis is laughing all the way to the bank. Somebody say, oh, we love Charlie. She like, Charlie who? And understand, those of you who love Charlie Kirk, you're grieving more for Charlie Kirk than she is. This woman has moved on faster than the Wi-Fi at a hotel lobby. Look at her. She's smiling like she found out her student loans were forgiven. Oh, but it don't end there. Now, when I saw this picture, I was like, now, wait a minute. We're going way too far here. Somebody need to call HR because I know for damn sure this hug comes with benefits. Look at her. She's grieving like the insurance check already cleared. She got the money's in the bank. She looks freer than a kid on their last day of school. Y'all got to understand, none of this is happenstance. So when y'all see all that performative grief, she's laughing all the way to the bank. Don't get it twisted. Sister girl is leaning into this victimhood shit and making money, money, money. Faux show.
I see Usha Vance getting more and more coverage and people feeling bad for her and saying that she needs an exit plan, and I'm here to tell you that you should not feel bad for her. Usha has been who she has been for a very long time. She clerked not only for Judge John Roberts, but she also clerked for Brett Kavanaugh. So the girl has a record. Just because now he's disrespecting her religion, her ethnicity, her brown children, her parents' immigration status, now in the public eye, doesn't mean that he hasn't been doing it for a very long time and she hasn't been okay with it. She was more than happy to go with the happy press tour, like, oh, we're such a happy family and he loves my immigrant story. And then once Trump got elected, he's like, let's take people's citizenship away from them. She cannot be blamed for the policies that the White House is enacting, but her complacency and her career history shows us that she's perfectly okay with this. Whether she stays with him or not, I promise you she is going to always lean conservative, always lean right, and is perfectly okay with what's going on.
Usha, you in danger, girl. Usha Vance, you should look for an exit plan. Because I've been married for, oh my God, I don't even know how many years. Almost 9 years. I've been with my wife for almost 15 years. And I've never even thought about putting my hands on another woman like he has for Miss Erika Kirk. So there's that. Yeah, Usha, you should start to question a few things if you haven't already. It's pretty alarming. It's pretty alarming what has been happening. And especially what your husband's been saying, about like mixing cultures and all that. He doesn't seem like he's a fan of that right now. I'd look for an exit plan.
These are not the actions of a grieving widow whose husband was just very publicly shot in the neck not even 8 weeks ago. Like, running your fingers through someone's hair and caressing the back of their head is an intimate act, and it shows how comfortable they are. You can be comfortable with someone in a non-sexual way, but in this case, be so for real with yourself. Body language doesn't lie. Based on the comments that he's made about her religion, it's very evident that he doesn't respect his wife. I want to have empathy for Usha, but they've been married quite a while. This is not his first red flag. Stop consciously choosing to be with shitty men once they've shown you who they are. The only people that I have an ounce of empathy for are the kids because they didn't get to choose their parents. Anyway, this whole thing just gives me weird vibes.
Am I crazy or are we being gaslit by this damn hug? I've been watching your comments roll in all day long. I've been watching this video over and over and over again. I just can't shake why this hug feels so wrong. Her hands aren't on his back. They're on the back of his head. That's not a coworker hug. That's the kind of hug that makes your brain go, wait, what am I seeing? And then you check the comments in the video. Overreacting. I don't see anything wrong with this. It's just empathy. She just lost her husband. And suddenly, I start doubting if I'm crazy or not for noticing. Body language experts are even calling this a dominance gesture. The hand on the head says, I control the space. That's not political posture. It's possession energy. And gaslighting works just like that. It makes you question what you saw, what you felt, until you convince yourself it was nothing. But you're not crazy. You saw what I saw, and your gut is the only thing honest left online. So, Mr. Vice President, you still might want to let us know what your wife thought about it.
Don't fall for this. They want us to say that the two of them are having an affair. They know that that's what we're going to start saying. That's on purpose. They are creating a spectacle intentionally. Because in this attention economy, controversy gets attention. And it also keeps Erika Kirk relevant. But it does something else too. It humanizes JD Vance. Now he has to defend himself against these mean liberals that are saying that he's cheating on his wife. He's really just helping this poor grieving widow get over her husband who was his best friend. The reason why they're trying to humanize JD Vance and keep Erika Kirk relevant is I think that they're gearing up for a 2028 president run with JD Vance and Erika Kirk as his VP. So what do they need to do to keep our attentions on the two of them? They create controversy. Now we're going to be watching the two of them and talking about it. While on the right, they're going to be like, look at these mean liberals saying these horrible things about JD Vance and this poor grieving widow. That's a message they're going to send to the right. They need us to say these things about Erika Kirk and JD Vance.
So y'all remember when I said ain't nobody need to worry about Erika Kirk because she's going to be married to somebody high up in the ranks within the year being out. She's going to be dating somebody. She's going to be married to somebody in 2 years because that's how these Christian people operate up in, you know, up in the right-wing government. Remember when I said that and everybody got real mad at me? Like a lot of people got real mad at me about that. And you can be mad. You can be mad, but that'll make you right. And don't make you right. What the fuck? Like this coming on the heels of JD Vance saying that he hopes that his wife, who is Hindu, by the way, converts to Christianity and finds the truth. Usha, I don't like you, but girl, you're in danger. Have we ever had a vice president like go through an active divorce before and and marry somebody else? This administration's shaping up for all kinds of firsts. I really like how she has on like her black pants because like she's grieving her husband, who by the way, literally died like not even a little over a month ago. She made sure she got it made out of his favorite couch upholstery though, I'll tell you what. I can't get over the hand on the head. What the fuck is this? This is so weird. I don't put my hands on the head of men who like I don't have a relationship like that with. This is like the kind of thing you do when your hookup hasn't talked to you in a while, right? And you see him again at like some kind of event and you try to remember, you try to help him recall, you know, a little bit of like what y'all had and why aren't you texting me back? And you reach up and grab his head like that a little bit. That's what this vibe gives. Happy Halloween. This is terrifying. This is worse than anything.
There have been cameras all over my friends and family mourning. There have been cameras all over me, analyzing my every move, analyzing my every smile, my every tear.
You were the one who posted your husband in his casket. You were the one who posed around with Charlie's Medal of Freedom and told people to take out their phones and record. You made an appearance 2 days later on your husband's show. Came the CEO, then platformed the same people that Charlie criticized 48 hours prior to his life being taken. Why aren't you being transparent about Mikey McCoy? Just recently pulling up in tight leather pants and the same shirt that Charlie was unalived in. Then saying that you see your husband in JD Vance, running your hands through his hair and his hands are on your waist. How about demanding some answers for your husband? This is a grift and there's nothing that anybody can tell me to make me think otherwise. She dropped a trad wife routine faster than they found Tyler Robinson. You were the one who came out in full glam for the world to see, saying you forgive the man that took your husband's life. And don't say everyone grieves different because we're past that. This is the happiest widow in America.
Holy shit, they are trying to replace Usha Vance with Erika Kirk, because Erika Kirk and JD Vance is their Christian nationalist wet dream, and you won't convince me otherwise. What is this? What is this body language? When did we start putting our hands up in the hair of our friends when we hug? Yeah, no, you don't. This is weird. Oh, and then there's this one. JD, why are your hands so low? There's no reason for them to be on her hips, but there they are. But if that's not enough, here is her introducing him at Turning Point.
I am tremendously blessed and honored tonight to be able to introduce to you a very, very dear friend and his wife. They are incredible. And I see no one will ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD and Vice President JD Vance. I do.
And if you're not convinced yet that they're trying to replace her with Erika Kirk, this is him when asked by a student about him and his wife's difference in like their religious beliefs, and he ends it with this.
Do I hope eventually that she is somehow moved by the same thing that I was moved in by church? Yeah, I honestly do wish that, because I believe in the Christian gospel, and I hope eventually my wife comes to see it the same way.
He wants her to fall in line. He wants her to be a Christian nationalist just like him. And if he can't convince her, he'll find a new one.
Hello guys, welcome back. After listening and watching everything that Americans have to say over Erika Kirk, what do you have to say as a viewer? I think it's weird for me also how she's coming out publicly, speaking and behaving publicly. Many conspiracy theories tend to be proven right, yet they might even not be true, just because of how she's behaving or even carrying out herself currently. It is a serious issue, and I believe Americans will one day get the true answer to the questions that they have. In the weeks following Charlie Kirk's assassination, Erika Kirk took over as the CEO of Turning Point USA and began to make major public appearances and statements. Some observers felt that the speed and visibility of her public role and the organizational transition were too swift in the context of her recent loss, raising questions about authenticity or whether the moment was being used for optics. At a Turning Point USA event, Erika introduced J.D. Vance with language suggestion similarities between him and her husband, and the embrace that followed went viral. Many viewed the hug, physicality, and the emotional framing as incongruous with what they expect of a widow public compartment, leading to speculations about motive or propriety. Because Charlie Kirk was a prominent conservative figure and his death immediately became a political moment, Erika's actions, such as continuing the tour, thanking major political figures, and emphasizing the movement, have been criticized by some as blurring grief with political strategy. Some feel the mourning should have been more private or personal rather than heavily public and symbolic. Erika publicly forgave the accused killer of the husband, citing her Christian beliefs. While many praised that stance, others felt it came across as a part of a broader message tied to the organization's branding and mission, the intersection of personal tragedy, faith, and organizational continuity made for an uneasy exit of roles for some observers. Some Americans are uncomfortable because they are unsure whether Erika's public shows are emotion, embrace of powerful political allies, and rapid organizational prominence reflect genuine personal grief or calculated public relation leadership. Articles note that she said cameras were analyzing my every move and that she felt under scrutiny. For many, that ambiguity causes discomfort. Is this a grieving person, a movement leader, or both? That is the question that most Americans are asking. They've given their opinions about every other issue and even the circumstances that led to the death of Charlie Kirk, and many things are left unanswered. What do you have to say over the issue? Share your thoughts down in the comment section, and if you're watching us for the first time, remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share. Thank you. Let's meet on the next one.